Doing? Good. We're not starting yet, but.
Yeah. Doesn't have to get quiet yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, sounds good.
Try not to wonder.
Yeah, I might. Probably be out there for a minute listening to yours.
Just give me a nudge.
Come on in.
Are they all scared to sit?
They are, yeah. They're like second row and back, please, you know? Yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah.
You're a very important person.
Yeah, we'll bring that to the middle here in a minute. You know, kind of go through it. Together for. That wasn't Devin's script. That was something else.
It was mine.
It was. No, it was. Sure.
Yeah.
This is what he presented today. It just looked a lot better up there.
We actually turned this into a real thing that looks nice. What you saw before.
Just waiting for the live stream. Yeah.
We've seen how we can create an awkward silence before people are like, "Are you going to start?" Or
Okay. Yeah.
all right. Well, I think we're ready to get going here. So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming out to Max Connect today. Happy to have you guys all. Happy to have you in our presentation. Hopefully you get something out of it. I'm Brendan Silito. I'm our Chief Digital Officer. This is Landon. Landon Howard. He's one of our digital team leads, so he helps lead the digital team. We're going to talk to you a little bit today about first-party data.
Yeah.
Hope you're all excited.
Strategies for making your first-party data work. Okay. Here's kind of what we'll talk about today. Let me make sure I got the clicker right. I'm going too fast. So we'll talk about first-party versus third-party data. We'll talk about a little cookies update with Chrome and what they're deciding to do and when they're going to finally decide to do it and what that looks like. We'll talk about some first-party data strategies that we deploy by different channel and strategy. Some ideas on capturing first-party data, things that'll be relevant to you guys and your businesses to gather more first-party data, and then obviously some takeaways there at the end.
All right, so first-party data versus third-party data. Know which is which. It's pretty simple. First-party data is data that you're collecting for yourself. Any data that you're collecting as a business for your own business use is all first-party data. Obviously, we think of that as website visitors a lot of the time, but that can be beyond that. Any data that you're collecting about your consumers or your customers for your own business's use, that's first-party data. As opposed to that, third-party data is basically the opposite. If anybody else is collecting data about your consumers for your use, then that's third-party data.
So quick third-party cookies and Google Chrome update here. So what are third-party cookies? Third-party cookies are essentially a tracking that follows consumers around the web, you know, to the different websites that they go to, the things that they browse, the content that they digest, and those cookies follow them across the web, right? That is, third-party cookies is one way that third-party data can be gathered. Other methods of third-party data could be, you know, transactional data, Amex, Visa selling their credit card info, those types of things, right? But cookies are what follow people along the web. Then what Google and some of these other, data collection companies do is they'll then sell that data to different platforms to create audiences off of. So we know if someone's searching a lot for a Toyota RAV4 and they're going to all these different blogs about a RAV4 and learning more about it and comparing that to other makes and models and things like that, that's what this third-party cookie tracking does. So, as you guys know, or if some of you don't, Chrome is disabling third-party cookies. They got rid of 1% of those cookies, or on 1% of users, they got rid of those cookies in Q1 of this year and had plans to finish that by the end of this year. Well, they had plans to do that, and as you know, Google's not going to do anything that's going to take away from being, let's say, making money, whatever it may be, right? And so they've actually taken a step back, and now they're saying, hey, at some point in the future, in 2025 now, we're looking to disable those cookies. So why are we sharing that with you guys? Is because not only was it a good time to prepare this year for that cookie change in 2024, if it was going to happen, but now with it being in 2025, we all have a head start to kind of prepare for these changes, what changes Google is making, hopefully into next year, but we'll see if that gets delayed any further.
Or 26 or 27.
Could be 28 at this point, we'll see.
It's been 3 years delayed.
Sorry, I'm having
Clicker issues. I heard you put it up here. Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go. And back more. There we go.
All right. So what does this mean for your business? The things that we will be losing, or you guys will be losing. These are things like behavioral data. Some of the behavioral data that's derived from third-party cookies will no longer be available. Some of the content that was engaged with, websites users visited, and some purchase transactional behavior. What we keep, though, is a lot. Third-party cookies is not the only type of third-party data, and a lot of that other third-party data is exceptionally helpful, and we utilize a lot. So any consensual consumer data that's not derived from third-party cookies is staying. Keyword search data, what they're searching on Google, Google has that data, is keeping that data, and is still going to be available. Transactional data, that data is third-party data, but not derived from a third-party cookie, and will still be available. Purchase behavior, location type of data, ownership data, psychographic and demographic data is still all data that we will have access to.
So I wanted to quickly just run through that, examples of, yeah, go ahead.
How about the data they get when I have conversations with people?
Yeah, that's probably still going to keep, being out there. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of biometric data out there. I mean, technically, being able to use your face when you use apps and things like that, but we won't get too far into the weeds on some of that stuff. But as we mentioned, we talked about a little bit of the differences between first-party and third-party data. The rest of the time, we want to dive into first-party data and why it's so important for you guys, what you guys can be doing with it, right? So we'll go through a couple different examples, and then we'll talk through some strategies from there. One of them, every time someone thinks about first-party data or data that you have, a lot of people will think of your website, right? It was the first thing that Devin talked about when he was on stage there of, how Google Analytics tracks website behavior and things like that. It's not the only form of first-party data, which we'll get into, but it is a very important piece to your first-party data puzzle. Right? And I want everyone to kind of visualize it like this funnel here. A remarketing list, these remarketing lists are more in a funnel, right? You have all visitors that are coming to your website, right? If you're only focusing on getting in front of or getting back in front of these customers that have just been to your website, but you're not really tracking what they're doing or anything like that, you're missing out on a lot of different pieces, right? So you have people that come to your website. Well, what are they doing when they come to your website? Are they viewing a product? Are they viewing a vehicle or whatever it may be? Are they adding something to cart? Are they leaving their cart, right? So that's something that we like to dive further with these remarketing lists to be able to showcase very hyper-targeted and tailored ads to these consumers based on what they do on your website. If they view a product, let's get that product right back in front of them. Next time they're browsing on ESPN or CNN.com, did they leave something in their cart that we can then get back in front of them, right? In terms of maybe like automotive, are they looking at some VDPs, but are they not filling out a lead form? Well, let's retarget to those people that have been looking at, multiple different vehicles or multiple different products, get an ad back in front of them, get them back to the website at a very good cost, right? So this is kind of how we want to visualize that piece of the first-party marketing puzzle is, looking at the remarketing list as a funnel.
Yep. So another part of first-party data that outside of website is also your social following. These are great pieces of first-party data that we can utilize to target people that are engaged with your brand. So things like Instagram followers, YouTube followers. We can use these both as ways to target your consumers and people that are interested in your brand, but also as ways to exclude people or to not target certain people as well. Bucketing users in the smallest category that we can effectively still reach them is always great practice, and we find a lot of success with breaking it down. But something that's often forgot about is using the first-party data from your social media following, not just from your website visitors or from other first-party data. So.
And then customer lists here as well. So obviously this is being able to capture consumer data, name, email, phone number, whatever it may be, and then being able to utilize that first-party data to either get back in front of those consumers or utilize those lists to then be able to create look-alike audiences, act-alike audiences depending on the social platform that you're on, and getting back in front of those people. These could be past purchasers. These could be people who have purchased a vehicle, those who signed up for a newsletter, those who filled out a form online, whatever it may be, utilizing those customer lists and giving all of that data to the platforms to then either retarget or prospect with that. And now we're going to talk about just some specific first-party data strategies within some of these examples here. The first one I'll talk about here is, if I can get the clicker working again, is video strategies, right? So, like I mentioned, we think about just website visitors, right? But think about all of your YouTube channel subscribers, people interacting with your YouTube page, people that are watching specific videos on your channel, those coming to your channel, when they're coming to your channel. Have they been to your channel within the last 7 days? Have they watched a video in the last 30 days? Whatever it may be, and thinking outside the box of being able to utilize retargeting to those people that are interacting with your YouTube channel, right? So here's an example here. You can see the size of some of these customer lists, 78,000 plus, right, of people that are subscribed to the channel over the last 30 days. Let's get an ad back in front of them. Have they watched a couple specific ads on your channel? Well, how can we make that a little bit more sequential to push them through the marketing funnel there, right? So being able to utilize your first-party data in terms of your YouTube channel subscribers and those watching videos.
All right, so let's talk about display first-party, utilizing first-party data for display. So just wanted to run through a quick example of how we might run things and kind of to visualize that best. I broke it out into a few different slides. So this is this is a screenshot from our Kudos platform, and it visualizes the customer's journey. This is the first touch point of the journey. So this is a user that has come to the website via a Max Connect shopping ad and viewed a new VDP. So then they're coming back to the site, direct, just typing in the URL, coming straight back to the site, multiple events there, they come back, organic search, they search for your brand name, they come back to the site. Then they see another shopping ad, they came back to the site. After that, they haven't filled out a form yet. We still have nothing from them. So at this point, they've engaged with their brand. Obviously, we're way sad because they have not filled out a form. But they clearly are engaged with your brand, right? They've come to your site multiple times, but you really don't have any way to contact them. So what do? The next thing that we're going to do is we serve up a bin retargeting ad. So now they're on the display network, and now we're following them with the exact vehicles that they were viewing on your website, and giving them just a reminder that you have the vehicles that they're looking at, and just another touch point. They come back to the website, and what do you know? They filled out an ad. Mr. Big Spender here filled out a form. He said, "Please sell me this car that I saw on Max Connect." I mean, that's a great thing. So obviously, the next step is, maybe they buy a car. Obviously, right? Next, they buy a car, and drive away. Just one of the examples, and something that's a little bit unique here is. Not filling out that form. Yeah, we can do bin retargeting and get the vehicle in front of consumers that saw that vehicle on the site, right? But what we're doing here is layering on also your customer list to know that they haven't already purchased the vehicle, right? We don't want to continue to waste ad dollars going after people that have viewed VDPs on your site or viewed a product on your site and continue to do product retargeting when they've already purchased it. So that extra small step of just layering on that customer list and purchasers to make sure that we're excluding and not wasting money on people that have already taken the action that we want saves a lot of money.
The next strategy we want to talk about data is utilizing customer lists on Meta. This is something, Jen is here with us today. She won one of the drawings, the giveaways too, which was pretty cool. But this is something that we worked closely hand in hand on this strategy here, and it turned out to work really well. So Jen and her team, they had the idea of utilizing what's called a win-back opportunities customer list. So essentially those that have purchased between 6 months and 24 months ago, right? But haven't purchased within the last 6 months or whatever that time frame looks like for your business, right? And so Jen, she said, how can we execute? What can we do with this, right? So we took that list and we showcased, or showed a couple different ads with different messaging to this list, to this audience, right? On both Instagram and Facebook. You can see maybe we show a bestsellers ad, get them back to the website by looking at products that are the best sellers across the board, or maybe it's a new collection ad, or you can see a couple of the sales ads as well. Utilizing specific ads to get back in front of these specific customers to see if we can win them back, see if we can get them to purchase again after they haven't purchased in a little while. Well, after running this campaign, it was one of the highest ROAS one of the highest ROAS audiences in terms of performance within the first 2 months of launching this. This is something that we do and utilize in our strategy every single day now, something that we update quarterly together to make sure that we're always looking at ways that we can win back customers, get them back to the website, and it showed its success. So.
All right, so paid search. Paid search probably isn't something that people normally think of as heavy on first-party data, but it can be extremely valuable. Obviously, you can use first-party data in paid search in terms of bid adjustments, whether you're saying you're willing to pay more for people that have done certain things, all those buckets that you've created. You can adjust how much you're willing to bid for people to click on your ad based on the certain actions that they've taken, or you can use it to exclude people too, right? And probably just as powerful or even more powerful is that exclusion factor, to be able to make sure that you're not continuing to waste ad spend, especially on paid search that tends to be a higher cost per click. You're not wasting your dollars on people that have either already taken the action you want them to take, or that not going to take that action, right? They're either out of that buying cycle. So this is just an example of a search for Carmel and Toyota, and it's like the person on the left has filled out an ad, or filled out a form on the website already, and so as you can see in the search results below, there's no ad there. If they're searching for your name, they've already filled out a form, they're searching for your name, you probably don't need to pay for a self-branded ad right there, right? And so just excluding those ads from there, allowing them to click on the organic listing there, saves that money. And then the opposite for somebody that hasn't filled out a form, right? The first thing that they see is that paid ad. And so it's just thinking through the ways that people interact with your business and how you can use all those little buckets, all those small segments of users that you've created to make your spend the most efficient as possible, whether that's including or excluding. All right, so capturing first-party data. How do we capture first-party data? So obviously we know outside of the website, there's a lot of ways to capture first-party data. Capturing more emails on your website, newsletter signups, free ebooks, request a vehicle quote, giveaways to capture customer information, in person at your store, if you have a store. Sign up for an email list and get a free stress ball. You'd be shocked at how many people are willing to give away their email for a stress ball, right? A cheap way just to build your customer list, right? Display prospecting strategies is another way to grow the amount of first-party data that you have, getting more people to the website. And then, just because having only that bottom heavy bottom funnel approach is going to dry up at some point. You need to put some at the top, into the top of the funnel. And then follower growth campaigns on Instagram and Facebook.
So on some of those follower campaigns, I just wanted to highlight a study. So we worked with sports mentioned as one of the giveaways. Initially, we partnered with them in June of 2021. We were grow their Instagram and Facebook following, right? So they had 6,000 Instagram followers and 160,000 Facebook followers. So we did a couple of different ad strategies and things like that. One of them was follow Fridays. So trying to get more followers on Friday, follow they have to like or follow the page, comment, tag people in it, that type of thing, in order to be eligible for a giveaway, right? Kind of one of the ways that we utilize to be able to grow their followers overall. After about 7 months, we were able to achieve a 55% lift of follower growth on both Instagram and Facebook. Awesome to see. So not only did we do that, we were able to drive a 7x ROAS for them with those same ads as well. So a couple big things there. The more followers you have, the more first-party data you have, and the more you can actually do with that. Then we could take these and we could create a new lookalike audiences. We could retarget to these people, right? So the biggest thing here and the biggest takeaway would be, thinking of ways to capture first-party data, like Brendan had mentioned, but just ways that are outside the box. What campaigns can we do? What can we do within our store? What can we do on our website to really capture more of that first-party data? Takeaways here.
That was it.
No, so the first is just to prepare for the cookies change. Whether that happens, like Brendan mentioned, in 25, 26, 27, or 28, who knows, right? But at some point it will be coming. So what can we do on our end to be able to, prepare for that? And one of the biggest things is audience acquisition. Utilizing some of those upper funnel channels to build your brand, to grow your website following, more people to your website, and to be able to really start filling that funnel.
Yeah, and then second takeaway is utilize your first-party data. Right, you're getting the data. You're probably paying to get the data. It's a waste if you don't utilize it. Think strategically about new ways that you can utilize that data. New ways you can bucket your audiences to become more efficient. Like I said before, the more granular you can be with your audiences, the better. Obviously, that comes with the caveat of making sure that your audiences have enough to be able to market to, and then also, there's going to be budget constraints, right? If you have a small budget, segmenting it across, 50 different audiences is going to be a little bit more difficult. But utilize that data. Don't let it go to waste.
And then grow your first-party data. It is not just your website visitors. So think outside the box. Think you can get more customers on your customer list, more followers on your Instagram page, more subscribers on your YouTube channel, whatever it may be. This is a great way to prepare for the future, and something that, it really is a great way to get success in not only the short term, but in the long term as well. So, any questions?
So I work for an auto group, and we have a lot of first-party data in our CRM and
Yep.
our DMS. And it's a little overwhelming to me. Like the initial, well, the first-party data is cool, but then I worry about relevant.
For
So
sure.
is that one way of thinking? It probably depends on the type of campaign, but if you have any tips that you use on.
That's a great question. I'll say one thing, and then you can share your thoughts. Like, for example, with Meeting, we're doing it quarterly for them, and they have a very large customer database. They sell furniture and things like that, so I would still put it as a considered purchase like I would a vehicle. But it does kind of come down and depend on your business. I would be surprised if every 2-3 months, kind of refreshing that data and utilizing those and putting them in the platforms. I'd be surprised if that was not often enough. So.
Yep, and I would say it's strategy dependent, right? If your strategy is excluding people that have purchased,
Yep.
And that time delay is 2 to 3 months, well, that's quite a bit of time that you're marketing to these people that may have already purchased. So definitely strategy dependent. But I would say as often as you can do it in an easy way, right? What is the workload or how much heavy lifting is there to continually update that? and then finding ways to remove that friction and ease that workload to make it as fast as possible and as automated as possible is probably best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to say is, we have the full entire software development, so we could also look at automating. We can connect to like your DNS or your work with your CRM on a nightly basis, or to Kudos, and we can exclude them.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to worry about it.
And then one other piece I would add to there is like just working strategically with your account manager, digital manager, or whatever it may be, in specific segments of your customer list as well, right? So we might not just want all of your customers that are in there that have signed up for a stress ball in 2011, right? So we might just want to think of a couple of different lists that we can utilize, and then utilize the process that they talked about as well in keeping that fresh. So.
Any other questions?
I got a question for you guys. So I know third-party cookies and that kind of stuff are going away, but whether or not they go away, it sounds like we're having success with first-party data. So even if they don't go away, speak to like where you would still use first-party data even if cookies always existed.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that cookies, and probably the biggest misconception is that cookies are going away, right? But like just those third-party cookies, so that first-party data becomes even more valuable because it's what you have. And then I would say the other part of that is that the third-party data isn't going away, just those third-party cookies, right? So there's a lot of third-party data that we still utilize and that we can still continue to utilize outside of third-party cookies specifically. I think that third-party cookies is like a buzzword, and I think like everybody panics when they're like, oh, third-party cookies are going away. There is a lot of data outside of third-party cookies that we utilize, and we've been thinking that this transition has been coming for 3 years now. So we, not only Max Connect, I'm sure other places as well, but we've been preparing for this. We've been prepared to lose that data for quite a while now. So it's just making those adjustments to utilize the data that we will still have available. So.
And then in terms of success of your first-party data now, I would say, first-party data is your data. I know it sounds very basic, but it's your data and nobody else has that data. They have other data on maybe some of the same customers, but they don't have your data, right? The things that people are doing on your website, the type of form that they've filled out, the inquiry that they've made, if they follow you, on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. So utilizing that in itself is data that you have that your competitors don't, right? So being able to get in front of them, get them back to the website, make it very tailored depending on where they are kind of within the remarketing funnel. But like I mentioned in some of those, examples, we've seen success utilizing that data, and that's probably the biggest reason to use it is because it's your data, nobody else has it, and these are your customers that will purchase at some point, if you can use it strategically.
Anything else? All right.
Awesome.
Well,
thank you guys.
Coming. Thanks for listening to us.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody got something. If not, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Hey, just real
I think we can start like right on time. Jason, are we ready to start? Good deal.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for sticking with us for this last one. Today we're going to be talking about content, how we build trust with our audience with content, and talking about all the magic you see the influencers do, but we're going to do it within our own brands and make it actually worth something. So for introductions, I'm just going to introduce who's speaking today. So we have Mitch Henderson. He's our head brand strategist. Brilliant guy who can help with positioning your brand, strategizing, messaging, all sorts of great technical things to make your brand that much better. We have Hallie Scholler. She's on our creative team. She is our senior designer. She works with a lot of great brands. In particular, she's going to be talking with our experience with Splenda and how all that works, all the great stuff we've done with them. I'm Frank Imler. I'm the creative director here, working with the creative team, and we have a special guest. We have Matt Thompson. He's the director of consumer communications with Splenda, and he'll be joining us here in a few minutes at the end. So today we want to talk about content, and there's a video we want to show as an example. This video is a great example of the kind of content that you could be doing someday. This obviously Doug puts in a lot of money towards things. They're a huge brand, huge company, but the things they do, we can implement and take into our own companies. So pay attention to things like how great the product shots are, the promos, things like that, and we'll go through them in a little more detail afterwards. Go ahead, Paul.
I'm a forensic artist. Worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to 2011.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board. We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent features?
Kind of a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckled I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Eyes, very nice blue eyes.
So here we go. This is the sketch that you helped me create. And that's a sketch that somebody described to you.
So yeah, that's... She looks closed off and fatter. Sadder, too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy. I should be more grateful of my natural beauty. It impacts the choices and the friends that we make, the jobs we apply for, how we treat our children. It impacts everything. Couldn't be more critical to your happiness.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah. We spend a lot of time as women analyzing and trying to fix the things that aren't quite right. And we should spend more time appreciating the things that we do like.
promos, big percentage sales or off. Till Sunday. None of that. So the type of content that we're going to be talking about today is this kind of stuff, and how it can really benefit and impact your brand and your market that you're currently serving. This particular video, obviously they spent quite a bit of money on it, good production value, it obviously won a lot of awards, but I'm sure that their internal books was greatly rewarded as well. Okay, so content marketing, what exactly is it? So let's use this video as a reference. So it's basically serving to your community useful online content. The two phrases I think of is entertainment and education, and they go hand by hand. So this kind of content isn't salesy. Doesn't have a strong pitch. It's not blatant with any kind of promotions, but it is audience driven. It's not really product focused, and then most importantly, it's authentic, it's immersive, and it has a great story. Obviously with Dove, their target market is, from what you can see from the video, is women, and the mission of the company is to help women recognize and feel that they really are beautiful. So that's the product that they sell, and they sold that product in that video. We didn't have to see any other products. So why should we use content marketing? First of all, it kind of gives a great supplemental approach to your brand strategy and to your marketing strategy. It helps serve up other methods of content that isn't necessarily annoying or salesy. You don't have to. Your customers won't turn off because they'll obviously won't recognize that they're being sold to. It's something that they can appreciate and share and take in and use. Really importantly, it takes a community and it builds it up. It kind of helps build brand loyalty with your brand. Helps recognize that there's people out there that have the same interest that your brand has as well, and it pulls them together and it gives them something to talk about. And also it makes your company the authority in that space, which makes you more powerful, and it makes you able to move and position and to help your competitors. So for some more details, more down in the weeds, I'm going to turn the time over to Mitch and Hallie, and they will wow us even further.
Good deal. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah.
So, getting started with content marketing and branded content, what does that look like? First, I want to just open it up a little bit. Why do we think that Dove campaign worked, in your opinion? Why do you think it was impactful? Any thoughts? Yeah.
I felt like it stirred my emotions a little bit, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It wasn't so much about like the product, like Craig was saying, it was more so about like these stories and these.
Awesome. So it stirred your emotions, and it was more about the product, or it was more about what they were going through rather than the product, right? Okay. Yeah.
I felt it hit on a key problem that everyone deals with, a key issue that everyone resonates with. I feel, no one is avoiding of being hard on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has that inner perspective toward yourself. And I think that they were able to embody it, show it in an understandable way, make it relatable, and then the best part is that they created a relationship between this feeling that we all feel and we're caught up.
Absolutely. So just to reiterate, you really saw that how they identified a key human truth or a key human insight, something that their audience was clearly talking about and something that was important to them, and they aligned with that, the brand, with what their consumers were feeling. Yeah,
I
Jeff.
think it sparked your curiosity from the start, right? Because you're like, well, what is this going to turn into? Yeah, it's sketch artists and somebody subscribing themselves. Because how close is it going to be, right? You start curious as to what it's going to become.
Definitely. I think that curiosity lends itself to clearly a very creative team worked on this execution, and I think it all stems from that human truth. Thanks. Yeah, I think we can all agree it was impactful, and we saw all the awards that Frank pointed out. Very cool. So here's something that we want to make sure we understand, because we probably all don't have budgets like Dove. Dove is a massive brand with so much talent at their fingertips. But what we can do is still be impactful by doing a couple of these 4 steps. Number 1 is define your goals. We want to understand, what are we doing? It doesn't have to be a big, short film, right? It can be something very simple. We want to do one or more of one of these things, which is to tell a story, to inform, or to entertain, right? We don't need to say, buy this product, although that's a very big piece of the puzzle if we want to stay in business. We want to make sure that we're also providing content, top of funnel content, that does one of those 3 things. Number 2 is to really identify who you're talking to. And we heard a lot of people talk about this on the panels. I think they did a great job articulating how important it is to identify who we're talking to, what their problems are, and what they're talking about, right? If we can start having conversations through our content and making content around the conversations that our audience is having, we're gonna seamlessly be included in that conversation. Number 3 is strategize content types. So these should feel natural to your audience and your audience's goals, right? For example, when we'll bring up some examples a little bit later, but Red Bull sells a drink. But oftentimes they're putting out content that's just high adventure, rock climbing, mountain biking, paragliding. Like, these things are the things that the Red Bull drinkers are talking about, and they align with the same values. These can also exist in any type, like I said earlier, it doesn't need to be in form of a short film. This could be a blog post, social media post, lifestyle post, email marketing, YouTube, etc. And also exploring different channels. So this is where we're letting our creativity really run wild. We can think about, how does this look in social media? How does this look in email marketing? What kind of YouTube conversations is our audiences having that we could insert ourselves into? And a note here that I think we've talked a lot about is making it authentic. If Red Bull has no business talking about what Dove just talked about, am I right? That would feel a little bit inauthentic. So finding those insights that the culture of your audience is talking about. Did I skip one? Okay, cool. So this is a really interesting slide, and I think it lends itself to getting a little bit more granular. So when we think about content marketing, where we're providing value and we're entertaining or informing or storytelling with our content, we can really think about where we're hitting our audiences based on the buyer journey. So in the buyer journey, you have awareness, and then they're considering, and then they move on to the decision phase. Well, based on where they are in that funnel, we can create content for them. Awareness, this is a great example of Red Bull's world record ski jump. Has absolutely nothing to do with the drink, okay? And Red Bull knows this, and they're aware that this type of content brings people in, it hooks them, it makes them aware of their brand and their values. Moving on to the consideration phase, IKEA has done a really interesting execution here. It's an interior design tool. And it's this AR type of platform where you can take a picture of your house and then visualize different furniture pieces and decor for your space. They're not saying to buy these pieces, they're saying, hey, check out this opportunity to visualize what your room could look like, right? And that is really more focused on that consideration phase where they're already aware of your brand, but hey, here's something else we can do. And then the decision, let's say I'm very, very far down the path of buying a backpack for backpacking this summer. Well, REI has come up with a blog post that says, hey, not just to buy this backpack, but here's a whole bunch of options and here's a lot of things to think about during your decision-making phase. So as you can see, all of these can serve the purpose for awareness, but what's interesting is the more targeted you get, you're going to be more strategic about where you're placing your content so that you can attack or target rather people in their specific areas of the buyer journey.
I think what's interesting about this and building off of, Red Bull and awareness, yeah, the IKEA portal, you can use it with their products, but you can also take your living room as is with products that you bought anywhere, and then add the IKEA products to that environment. So they're not just showing you, hey, here's what your room would look like if you only use ours. Same with the decision-making phase for REI. They're not just talking about their backpacks. They're telling you, hey, you're looking for one. It's very important that you get this right. We're going to give you the tools to get it right. You don't have to buy from us if you don't want to, but here's a whole blog post that's telling you exactly how to do it.
That's a great call, Hallie. I think really just finding an opportunity to provide value is the name of the game when it comes to content marketing, right? Maybe you won't get a sale from it, but what you're doing is building trust and building a rapport with your audience. There we are. So the high quality checklist. This is something that I think you need to contemplate as you're building out your content marketing strategy. The first one, is it natural? Does it resonate with your audience's interests and feel true to your brand voice? Like I said earlier, Red Bull, they're not going to be talking about what Dove just said, right? That would feel inauthentic. That wouldn't feel true to them. Quality, is it well designed? Is it curated? Is it appealing? There are so many great tools out there that you can start today and build very nice looking content for social media or content for blogs. You can leverage AI or artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. There's ways to do this. You don't need a budget like Dove. Engaging, does it encourage your audience to interact, share, or provide feedback? I think this is a great way to start conversations with the field, with your users or client base. Is it strategic? Are you considering the role this content plays within the marketing funnel or within the buyer journey? Are you looking for awareness, or are you trying to provide content for people in that decision-making phase? Something to think about. Moving down, value. Are you telling a story? Are you informing? Or are you entertaining? I think that's something that we can't harp on enough, right? We need to be delivering, if not one of them, two of them, or three of them. And exciting. I think if you're excited about the content that you're producing, that's a really good sign. It should align with your company's values. You should be passionate about it, and I think that will reflect on how your consumers respond to it.
I think a filter that I always try to put things through is always, building off of engaging is something share-worthy, especially with how prominent social media is just in the daily lives of consumers right now. Is it inspiring them to share it on their own story? Are they going to laugh at it and show it to a colleague while they're sitting at their desk? We do that all the time. It's pretty much what we spend most of our mornings doing, is talking about things that we've seen, how it made us feel, sharing it. And so, reposts, things like that. If it's something that they can identify with, and it doesn't, again, have to be about your product to do that. And that's what the whole purpose of this is good content they'll resonate with it. They'll resonate with it really hard, and they'll want to talk about it just as naturally. And that's kind of something that Mitch just touched on, is it should feel very, very natural to your consumers. It should feel like it's a part of the conversations that they're already having with their peers, their friends, their colleagues. It should just exist in their space. And this is something that was touched on in one of the earlier panels, but it's not for everyone all of the time. Not everything is going to be applicable to everyone. And when you can really focus your content on who you're speaking to, that's when you're going to get those shares. That's when you're going to be talked about. That's when you're going to be memorable and leave a lasting impact. And that's really, again, the topic of this is how do you build trust with that? That's how you're building that trust. You want to leave some kind of impact with a view, with a read, anything like that. And whenever your consumers feel like you're there for them in their space, that's how you do it.
That's a great call out. I think another really interesting point is oftentimes we think it's possible that we think that our consumers are thinking about our brand 24/7. That really isn't the case. It's a very, very small percentage of time that maybe it's when they're trying to solve a problem that they're thinking of us. So we're constantly competing for mental real estate in consumers' brains. And when you can be providing in a not a salesy way, but providing value through content, I think you're just going to take up more space in their minds. So when an opportunity comes for them to make a purchase, they'll think of you. So now we'll have Hallie take it over.
So I want to highlight one of our clients, Splenda. We've been doing work with them for a few years now. Come on.
Oh, I didn't want to blow my intro.
No, you're good.
I was the only guest speaker that got a special intro. I was very excited.
So as Frank mentioned earlier, I'm a senior graphic designer with Max Connect. I've been working with Splenda and Matt for almost 3 years now, almost since the start of our journey with you on the creative team. But a lot of our efforts with Max Connect, we really focus on helping them with their website content, with organic social content, paid social, paid display. We've had some success with that this year as well. And really just generating, the identity of Splenda, how they relate to their consumers, what the conversation is. I'm going to share some graphics real quick to highlight some of the work that we've done that, again, go kind of what Mitch was talking about in the marketing funnel. So I'm specifically, for this conversation, going to be focusing on social media, particularly organic social content, but use this attitude as inspiration for your websites, for product catalogs, email marketing, however you want to use it. It absolutely is applicable to all. So looking at our marketing funnel again, talking on the awareness stage, these are all graphics and images that were pulled from social media on Instagram that Splenda has. Our first image on the left, this is something that you probably see all over Instagram. It's kind of your influencer-esque content. Believe it or not, there is a product in that photo. Even if you can barely see it, there's a product tucked away in there. So this is a post that Splenda's done. This really focuses on that awareness channel because we're building identity. We're kind of creating something that almost is a little aspirational. Not to be that female in the room, but I really want that bicycle, and it seems really beautiful. This would inspire me to go out and take a bike ride, and this is putting Splenda in that space. A lot of your consumers, they might kind of like that aesthetic style. They might like that visual style. They might want something that's maybe a little more rough and tumble, but you're establishing yourself where they're already at. You're putting yourself in their space. With consideration, Splenda they're highly beneficial for diabetic audience. We've put out quite a fair amount of graphics kind of informing users on, hey, here's what diabetes looks like to the American population. These are the raw facts. We're not even going to sell you our products. We're just going to give you information for what that looks like. And here's the reality of it. This was posted on the feed. This is really great for that consideration phase because, somebody may recognize Splenda, but they might not really understand where Splenda's heart is. I think that's kind of the best way to put it, is where are your heart? Where's your priorities? What do you care about? What's important to you? And your consumers who share those values, they'll meet you there. So anyone that cares about this information, anyone who's struggling with diabetes, to put it in Gen Z terms, they'll feel seen. They feel safe, they feel understood, they feel appreciated.
That's how.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Great, good.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn that.
That's my demo.
And then lastly, with your decision-making phase, Splenda, I would say probably a good 75% of the content that we create for you guys is built around recipes. So maybe you have one Splenda product in your cabinet, maybe you just bought one, or maybe you're extremely loyal to the brand and you've got several in your cabinet. You're not just going to use that product once. Chances are that bag is going to last you a good while. Here are all the recipes that you can use with your granulated sweetener. Here's what you can use with stevia. We've got a whole catalog. This is something that's expanded on their website as well. They've got a great recipe resource that their consumers can go to. And so for me, if I'm looking to replace sugar and I really want to get out, but I need to make sure my dinner is still delicious, let's go to Splenda's website and see what they recommend for dinner. Boom, there's my grocery list.
And you picked 3 really good examples here because they tie into when you're doing content for your brand. You need to be authentic, you need to be relevant, and you need to be entertaining. It's always content over commercial, especially in the social space, because nobody
I won't say nobody because I do, logs on to their Instagram or their Facebook to see the latest post from Splenda. But we want them to enjoy it when they do. And so like the one on the left, the woman on the bike, yeah, the product is small, but it leans into things that we're trying to do as a brand, which is be in the health and wellness space. So you've got a woman on a bike enjoying nature. It also reinforces our branding, which there's nothing more iconic with the Splenda brand than yellow. Yeah. So reinforcing the yellow aspect of it, then they see our little icon next to it in the copy that accompanies it, and it just reinforces what we're saying. Like Callie said, talking about diabetes without being overtly branded shows that we are committed to helping one of our core demographics, which is people with diabetes. And then on the right, if you've been on Instagram, if you've been on social, 95% of what you're going to see is food. But how do you stand out with that so you make it look like it's from the early 2000s?
Yeah.
So people are going to remember how they felt when they saw that frozen mocha latte, be a little nostalgic, make it seem a little bit more delicious, than just showing what everybody else is doing, which is how to make it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, so we talked on it a little bit earlier, sometimes repetition has its place, but if you are being repetitive, how are you still bringing value? You don't want us to have the same conversation over and over again. If you go to the same restaurant, chances are at least 1 in the 20 times that you go, you're gonna try a different entree. So introduce something new to that equation, test something out, be willing to change. And I think this is something that Splenda does really well, is that you guys are always willing to test new ideas. These are just some samples from their Instagram feed. I didn't actually get to introduce you a second time, back up. This is Matt Thompson. He's the director of consumer communications.
I'm just explain to fans, say hey around the office.
Here's your consumer.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are just examples from the Instagram feed that we've got going for Splenda. Some of it was created by us, some of it was created by your internal team. But this is just a quick little snapshot of the range of topics that you can be capturing. Not all of these are carousel posts, not all of these are video posts. Some of them are just still graphics. You guys have seen a lot of good success with this over the past 2 years. I believe you've almost doubled your Instagram followers.
That's correct. Yeah, Instagram has almost doubled. Facebook is up about 20%. Interest has almost doubled. And I give a lot of credit to not only my team at home that work closely with you guys, but Max Connect, and being able to take our visions and our inspiration and bring them to life in such a way, because we really are trying to do that 80-20 rule, which is 80% content, 20% commercial. So while the majority of our feed is this, that people can feel entertained or feel emotion with, we're able to do this, get them involved, get them following us, and then follow that up with look at this new product, it's available here, here's a coupon. So that stuff registers more because they've been entertained by these other things, because they're starting to feel in a space that's normally considered a commodity, low-calorie sweeteners. If we can make them feel like this is a lifestyle brand, they're more apt to buy us next time they're at the grocery store. And these touch points, social media, digital advertising, video, goes a long way in building that trust and that connection with the consumer.
So while you've been employing this with Splenda, what are some of the challenges that your team has come across? When do you push product? When do you use content-based marketing?
Well, and the other discussions have touched on this, is sometimes when you're looking at results, you just want to go for that, show them coupon, show them where they can buy it, get that immediate sale, drive them down the funnel as quick as possible. That dries out really quick. If you're not keeping them interested and making them feel a connection to the brand, eventually that just goes away and you just become like everybody else that's on the show. So finding that way to come up with content that keeps them coming back, it's a step for someone to decide to follow a brand on social media, because they're getting bombarded with commercials all the time. So how do you get somebody who's like, not only did I see your post and like it, I liked it enough to follow you and want to see more. Like, voluntarily raise my hand and say, please, Splenda, show me more images, show me more content. So whether it's, taking something like Peel and Pour, which is a brand new product launch, we could just hammer people away, new product from Splenda, use it this way. But instead, your team developed these micro sets, so it shows a usage occasion, shows how you think it might be incorporated into your life, but in a fun, exciting, clever way that might get people to want to share it, to like it, to engage with it, and it just does so much for you.
And I think it's important to note, not every brand is going to be a lifestyle brand. Not every brand is going to fit into this kind of fun, energetic space. Find where you fit and capture the spirit of something's supposed to. Looking at the Kroger Wellness Festival, wellness and health is something that watch your consumers. That's a large reason as why many of them switch from sugar. That's probably the main reason. Yeah. And I think, establishing yourself in the space where those conversations are being had, the September farmers market picks. You know, if health matters to them, chances are they might be buying produce and they might be interested in a farmer's market. Here's what your top picks for September are. Here's what's in season for September. Has nothing to do with your product at all.
That's right.
And so I think, again, just harping back on that point of what conversations are being had, what space is your consumer occupying, how can you contribute to that conversation? When we were chatting over how to kind of approach this presentation, we talked about, you know, be a friend to your consumer. Be a resource to them. Me personally, anytime I'm looking at going to a new restaurant or trying out a new business, I go to Instagram first, and maybe sometimes Yelp second. I rarely even Google anymore, and that's just me. I'm 26, by the way, so maybe that's why. But I go to Instagram and I look, you know, what are they about? What's their aesthetic? How are they? What's the spirit? What kind of consumers and stories are they highlighting? Does it feel personal? Do I feel like they care about me and my purchase, or do I really feel like they're just trying to shove a product down my throat?
And you can do sometimes both at the same time, like what's going to make you feel better about using Splenda next time you have coffee, and then that little animation down in the bottom left. I mean, that just instantly makes you happy when you look at it. You get the whole premise of our product right there, but it adds some personality. It adds that differentiator. It makes you want to see what other content we're doing.
Yeah. So if you had one like capsule of advice to give on, you know, maybe someone's not done a lot of content marketing, mostly pushing product, what would be step one that they could take to start approaching this?
So I think to always try to look at it from the end user's perspective. If you're scrolling through your feed and you wouldn't be interested if another company was doing it, why should anybody be interested in what you're posting? I think the slide, you know, obviously the Splenda stuff has been the great, most important stuff, but the two slides before that had that checklist. I think that summarized everything perfectly. All the things you need to do. It's not just one post at a time. Look at it as one long story, and every post is just a single part of it. You want to keep people engaged. You want to keep people pulling through so that they don't abandon it and be like, all right, I'll catch you next time you're paying, and I have to like quickly swipe away from your ad.
I think one thing, I'm not even trying to toot Max Connect's horn on this, although I am part of the creative team. We mentioned earlier, you know, creativity, I think it's both a spirit and an execution. It needs to be quality. You know, there's always a conversation on the algorithm and things like that. How important is it to be posting every day? And my philosophy is, even if you're posting just one time a week, quality is always going to be better than quantity in some of these cases, particularly with content marketing. You know, you want to make sure that it's a quality interaction. You also, again, want to be testing. See what works. If it fails, that's okay. Don't be afraid for content marketing to fail, because I always say a hard no is just as important as a hard yes. You know, you realize what they don't care about and what they do. And you're figuring them out. I think consumers really want to know that they have value. You want to understand them. You want to see what they're about. I love whenever I see brands post polls on their stories. Yes and no. I am a huge quizzy. I love participating in quiz. BuzzFeed is the best. But I think just different ways that you can engage. And you don't have to be a huge lifestyle brand. Again, you can absolutely capture the spirit of this.
Well, you touched on something important, which is, you know, test and learn. How many times have we had going great, it's like, this is all we're ever going to have to do, it's working great, and all of a sudden it stops. And it's like, what's the next thing? Sometimes we've been excited about a post and posted it, didn't do it well, but then we followed it up, we did it, we take what we learned, and it's been fantastic. High engagement, you know, huge follower growth. So it's all about,
Do you have a favorite campaign?
the one we're doing right now, the 25 years of 25 recipes, and then personally I love, which I don't know, was it came up with a lot of, and I know back home, Olivia and McKinsey came up with we did a whole campaign called Love Your Food Again, which was, you know, was all about, you know, reducing sugar in your favorite desserts. You can love your food again by using Splenda. So we made these tiny little Valentine's Day cards that had honey phrases on them, like "Will you marry me?" or something like that. No, that's not B-E-R-R-Y. Yes,
we're totally invited.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I didn't write that. Those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Matt as far as how Splenda has implemented this, advice that he can give for your brand, or that we can give for your brand, how to get started with this? Or any questions about content marketing?
I have a question. So as you think about, I mean, my context growing up with Splenda was I went through that age. And that, of course, is transformative. I'm curious how you feel like that market adoption, that repositioning, or that everything that you're doing, how that's being accepted, and if you're seeing that in addition to social media followers, how that's influencing, as you look at future brand positioning, market share, et cetera?
Yeah, it has gone a long way. I mean, we're in a unique position where we sell a product that is primarily available for free most places. So trying to convince people that they have to go to a store and buy Splenda is tough when they can just go to your local coffee shop and grab a handful and put it in their pockets, which we get a lot of pictures of that on Twitter or X. So it's been using social media to show that there are a lot of other ways to use the product, that we are a brand, not just an ingredient, and to differentiate ourselves from everybody else in the space, because a lot of other people in the space do just promote it as a commodity. It's put it in your coffee, functionality, use this, use this. So we've tried to infuse some personality, and one of the reasons why I've known that has worked has been the engagement in our posts and how many people then start to share the times and the people and the occasions where Splenda has meant something to them, campaigns where not just showing food product, but the experience of a grandmother and a granddaughter working together to make the cookies. It's about the experience with the product, not just the end result. And the amount of engagement that we've had on those posts versus the old functionality ones has been astronomical.
Are there any other questions? Any advice that we can give? Yeah, I think just to summarize again, and unless you have anything else you'd like to call on.
No, you guys covered most of it before I got up here.
Cool, sweet.
Yeah.
Just to summarize, again, we focused on Instagram and social media with this, but this is absolutely something you can do. Email marketing, websites, it's important to definitely try it all, see where you fit. I always think, for our automotive industry, you've got people buying power sports, that's considered power sports. You've got someone buying a UTV, have a blog up for them telling them the best spots to take it. And each state, maybe make that a 2-year goal to figure out the best spots in every single state. Just keep providing interaction with them either before or after they buy something. There are a lot of ways that you can do this, and just see what they care about. I'm a sucker for product reviews. I love reading reviews to see how people are using them, to see how people are interacting with your brand. That always is a good clue. Just any way that you can think of to kind of meet them where they're at. Again, let it feel natural if nothing else. But thanks for joining us for this. I did also want to call out that all of the presentations from today, we will be uploading videos of each as well as the slide decks to our website. You can expect a follow-up from us, and I think they might actually be on the same link as today's session. But you can find all those resources. So if you saw a presentation that you really loved and you really want to take it back to the team, which we highly encourage, you can find all of those and keep them as a resource. But thank you for your time.
Can you make me look better in post?
All
right, awesome, yeah.
Yeah, you're all set.
Just put a different speaker here.
We'll do the Travis Johnson.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming out to our summit, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.